talk about too.
Cool.
So, welcome to Section 31, episode number 200 and... That's not right. 249?
249, yeah.
Huh. All right, that seems like a lot. All right. Very good. Well, make it
249. I thought it was 349.
That's what I'm thinking it should be. I think I titled this the wrong one. Yeah, it's definitely 349. I'm Dan Hammond.
Back in time. I am Rogue Schindler.
Appropriate, because we're going to be talking about the show that goes back in time from at least the TNG era and the TOS era. We're talking about Discovery in a little bit. We have some Trek CC news as well. The release kits, although the article didn't get posted, the promo did. The Barclay with the laser going on the side of his head, exceeding limits, is the promo. So that's cool. Release kits should be available right now. And if you're a league director, these guys are also available. The promo cards for the leagues. 1E and 2E is the assimilator. And this is I like the idea of these league cards being all new cards. So we got 100,000 Avalanche. So 100,000, kind of like discard, except everyone gets a discard.
Wow.
Discard one extra.
100,000 Avalanche. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. We'll stampede into an avalanche. That sounds pretty good.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about getting discard poisoned.
Exactly. So if you've got a league director, if there's a WCT league in your area, go ahead and poke your league director and tell them to requisition a kit. Looks like the article just got posted, so if you check it on the board, there is a nth degree release kit in the promenade, so you should be able to see those too. For some reason, you can't see them. Drop me a note because I probably broke something, but it looks like folks can see it, so that's good. All right. There was also a 2E set to go with that release kit. The nth degree was finally released over the weekend, and I got to say, there's a couple of cards in here that's I've already started putting a 2E deck together in the deck builder. It's something that I was talking to Charlie about a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, back when I was looking at this Defiant, Captain's Log Defiant deck. We talked about TNG would be a good candidate for that as well, because they've got a couple of captains for the Enterprise. They've got Riker and Picard and Beverly. Now we can add Barclay to the total as well. So we've got 4 native matching commanders, in addition to all the admirals that TNG can get a hold of that can play at Earth. So that's kind of cool. And then send out the Enterprise to the Delta Quadrant and solve 4 space missions. Then you don't ever have to leave the ship. So Captain's Log keeps all your guys protected the whole time.
You need a 2E get it done guy whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Yeah. The guy who's kind of a jerk. Jellicoe?
Yeah. Jellicoe, Admiral Jellicoe. Always captain at that point.
Yeah. We definitely need Captain Jellicoe. Yeah, Admiral Jellicoe. Yeah. We need the captain from this book as well. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, that Jellicoe would work. And I was trying to find, there was got to be a point where Data was in command. But the only thing I could think of was when when he was in command when Picard and Riker were going off the Brand artifact thing. He was briefly in command, right?
The Bussard collectors. Maybe that's where that the Crimson Force Field. Isn't that they do something where they're like,
that was the Pac-Led one, wasn't it?
No, that was the Pac-Led, right? There's something there was some kind of thing. I think it was that's where the eject the Bussard collectors, because they have to pretend like they're firing some kind of weapon at them. Yeah,
I think you're right. But anyway,
Data chooses to let them go, and it's all put out because that's his role on the ship. Yeah, Captain Data.
Oh, Klingon Worf too. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, like first edition.
Yeah.
The Klingon Worf, Captain of the Enterprise.
So anyway,
Klingon TNG icon.
I started putting the deck together. The DS9 version of the deck has a lot of events because DS9 likes events. There's a couple of personnel that protect events. There's the event that protects other events if you got DS9 people. So I took a lot of those out, and then I started putting in all the TNG events. Like, man, this deck is more events than it is personnel. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to cut that back. But the personnel, Barkley costs 6. Figure you need all those, disadvantage and advantage and VIP welcome and what's that one that lets everyone plays a card for free? Yours has to be TNG personnel. Go around the table.
Oh yeah, yep.
So anyway, I have to cut it back down, but I'm looking forward to trying it out because it's been a long time since I've put a deck together, and not just copied somebody else's and made a change to make it worse. So I'll hopefully we'll have a 2E league event down here. That was the other thing. As I said, the league kits are open, available. So I'm looking forward to playing 2E again. I hope you can join us sometime.
It does not seem likely, but if I do, at least there is a card in this set that I would add to my only existing deck.
What, your Firefly deck?
That would be something. No, I think the last deck I played. No, you know what? I still have 2 decks put together, and the only reason they are is because I'm too lazy to take them apart. But they are the 2 decks that I have most enjoyed recently, which is the
Bajoran?
Most recently, I should say, not recently. The Bajoran mirror deck, that's like 200 cards, and then the Tarek Noor Dilemma Mill.
I have not played against that deck yet.
Yes, you have. Because the last time I played, I milled your entire dilemma pile. That was like achievement unlocked for me. That's probably why you blocked it out.
I have no memory of that. Did not happen. All right. Well,
this game sucks. Why would you want to play this?
How long ago was that? Maybe a year?
It was the last time we had a big event in San Diego. So when did we host Masters?
Yeah, it was probably a year ago.
Or maybe more, because it was in
it's November last year.
Actually, so it was that, because I was not at that, so it must have been before that.
Okay.
Because I was out of town that weekend, so it had to be at least a couple of years.
All right. Well, one of these days, we're all sitting around with nothing to do, and we happen to have a pair of 2E decks. I'll throw this Enterprise thing at you and see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I always had a good time playing the Defiant deck, and there's a lot of choices of Enterprises. I was looking at the Picards too. I'm thinking about the Battleship Picard because there's a couple of high cost personnel, and you just download anybody you want.
Download any one card is really powerful.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that when you were talking about it. It's like I can't think of a better choice. He's really good.
Lets you fetch a ship, but
I was going to say unless you need to get the Enterprise out.
But you've got all the commanders and a couple of. How would you like a trip, Romulus?
Yeah.
So, I think I was going with the Battleship Commander just because he's one more cost, but he fits in well.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you can download the ship you need, or you can download any card, which can get you the ship you need. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I think I mentioned this before. This set, congratulations to the designers, because I'm looking at the cards. I was inspired to at least make one deck, and probably more than one. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the Stargazer, but it's an interesting idea, and I'm jealous that we got a Ferengi Stargazer in second edition before we got one in first edition. So we got a Federation Stargazer, but not a Ferengi one, right?
I don't think we have a Federation Stargazer. Not that I'm aware of. There's a 1E Stargazer.
Yeah, that's what I
mean. In Q Continuum.
Yeah. Okay. So
let me ask you a question as somebody who's played 2E much more recently than me. What is paying an interrupt without a cost? I thought you always had to pay the cost of a card when you played it.
Some
even
interrupts
if it got canceled.
Don't have a cost. They just play and do something.
So if there is no cost associated with the interrupt,
right,
then you can target it with this card. All right, that's kind of cool.
Like, so you couldn't cancel. You couldn't target Amanda because you'd have to lose 5 points to do that. But if you play something that just just draw a card or something like that.
Sure, like the Cardassian interrupt that's destroying everyone.
Yeah.
What it was.
Yeah.
Central Command. I don't think that has a cost that I wear, unless discarding cards off the top of your deck a cost. I suppose it depends on how how it's worded.
Yeah, probably
If it's
so.
do this to do X, if it's do X to get Y, then that's a cost.
Agreed.
Have to look at. I could take a closer look at your interrupts, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going back in time and trying to figure out where that was, how long ago that was released, and it must be a while. That was an interrupt, right?
Yeah, it was the ship set. I don't remember what it was called, but there was the set that was ship based. The first really big Tacking Into the Wind. Is that it?
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Tacking Into
and
the
that
Wind.
was not where it was. But it was before that because I played Attacking Into the Wind deck that took advantage of it. Extreme Measures. That sounds right. That's also wrong.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
Clearly, I am not the person to ask.
What card are we looking for?
The Central Command.
Man, that was from a while back, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see it. I suppose we can actually search instead of look through every.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm like, I can open the search engine, I suppose. That feels like giving up.
Yeah. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck to prevent that. Yeah, so that'll be a cost. So
yeah,
look for something else. It was a promo too.
Allegiance. Wow, that was way back.
Yeah, man. All right. Okay, so I caught up on Discovery.
Awesome. So did you do it like all at once, or did you parse it out?
I did it. I'm going to say I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I watched the first half of episode 3, and then I came back and watched the second half of that episode, and then the next episode. And then there was I think they got me up to date during the week, and then Sunday night I watched the most recent episode. So not quite a binge, but all within, I'd say, about 4 days of each other.
So what was your feeling of the tone as it progressed?
Here's, I can appreciate the way that the story is being told. It fits very much in some of the other shows that I've binge watched, like a Netflix show, like one of the Marvel shows or something, Daredevil. How there's a story arc, and each episode moves the story arc a lot. It's interesting that it's kind of dark without the whole show being dark. There's individual darkness amongst Happy Federationness.
Sure,
but it's not episodic Star Trek. It's very much a long story being told in. Well, I guess that's a different definition of episodic. You know what I'm getting at?
Well, it's serial. It's a serial.
Yeah, it's not. They are not self-contained episodes. Like you just pop on a random episode of TNG, and by the end of it, everything is pretty much the same as it was when you started.
Yeah, but that was always the biggest objection to TNG to me was like I loved the shows and I liked the stories and the episodes, but anytime they brought somebody back or they actually acknowledged something that happened on another episode, I was like, oh, all right, continuity, awesome, because I loved the self-referencing and it creates world building. And to me, that is much more. I mean, I like that creating. I feel of all the worlds that we have, I can't think of a fandom where there's more hours.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Of world to have built out. So this is the one where you want to really delve in there and not go. So I really like that aspect of it. So I mean that's my personal preference.
The way I watched it, which was very quickly, in quick succession. I'm glad that I wasn't waiting a week to figure out what happened next. I'm kind of past. I'm past that. It's the same reason that I'm not binging on, or I'm not following along with the Game of Thrones. I'm I'll watch it when they're done telling the story, and I don't have to wait. I'm probably gonna. I went in for the free week, which is a very short amount of time. I thought the free week of CBS. I've got a reminder to cancel it on Friday, and
That's only a week. I thought it was a month.
it's a week if you want the commercial version. If you want the no commercial version, it's 2 days. That's how much time you get.
Jeez.
Yeah. I will say, in a completely unrelated note, I watched some football this weekend for the first time ever because I happen to have CBS. But man, it's tough. I don't like that type of the long drawn out storytelling. If you got a long arc, I'll watch it at the end. I don't know.
I could certainly understand from that perspective it being more or less difficult, I guess, less difficult to follow along week to week in a TNG type of setting where you don't necessarily have to remember. I feel like we're kind of spoiled.
Yeah,
for that.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to make me wait a week, then you got. I mean, they do have a little bit of last time on, Discovery. This is what happened, but just give me it all at once. I know that they're all done anyway. Just give them to me all at once. It doesn't make financial sense because then you wouldn't have people paying for months on end. You'd have them paying for a month and then they pay for it again next springtime when the next set comes out. But
that's what other streaming services do, and you can do a month of free trial there too. So I mean, that's a matter of having more the content than just Star Trek to pin your service on. When it comes to that aspect of it, I'm 100% with you on that. This is terrible. I'm very irritated with Paramount and CBS for pinning, like, you guys just if you want to do your thing, stop making, writing the coattails of Star Trek to do it. Stop making the Star Trek fans suffer because you want to try do a new thing, like build a network or create a streaming service. Just give us more Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, if you were to tell me, hey, you can have a new episode of Star Trek every week for $10 a month, would you pay it? I'm like, well, yeah, because it's Star Trek and I'd probably want to watch it. But I don't particularly like this Star Trek very much. It's
really.
I mean, look at what we've gone in 5 episodes so far, and the Game of Thrones influence is excessive. We've had a spoiler, of course. The first captain dies. Chief of security already gone and replaced by someone who can't trust and is probably going to kill everyone, or die. One of the two after you get to know him. I mean, I'm expecting the captain to disappear and what's her name, Michael, end up either as captain of the ship or something by the end of the season. I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with the entire thing. I don't know why.
Let me ask you this: Does it have anything to do with its existence or lack thereof of Trekness? How Star Trek do you feel like it feels?
It does. There are parts that feel like Star Trek, right? When they've got the water bear and they're trying to save it, and they release its pain and eject it into space, and it's a happy day. Then that was great. The whole the Klingons are, I think they're pretty good. I mean, they went with a different visual aesthetic, but they've done that just for just about every show, every new iteration. So I don't hate it. They've obviously put a lot of effort into it, and what I don't like is how slow that they talk. And
oh my god, so slow.
Every other time when you have an alien culture or something and they're speaking in their own language, at some point you cut the subtitles and they're talking in English. They're talking in Klingon, but they're talking in English so you can understand them.
Yeah,
I want to be able to I'm trying to. I was putting all these foils together, and I had to keep going back because anytime that there were Klingons on the screen, I couldn't do something else. I had to stare at the screen for the subtitles. How annoying is that?
And I agree. They talk forever, and not only do they talk slowly, but they monologue, which is the worst combination. It's like, oh my, especially Takuvma, like, oh, will you shut up already? He just keeps going, and it takes forever. It's like a like pre-K speak and spell. Like, we are going to unify the Klingon Empire.
I'm sorry. You need to have a deeper, squeakier voice. All right, but I didn't hate either of the ships. I thought they looked great. The two main Starfleet ships. I remember early on when they showed the Discovery, I was like, wow, that's lame. But the way that they pan out and zoom in on specific windows and sections really adds a lot of character, I think. I don't know if I particularly like the spinning disc part because that's kind of weird. But
I was going to say, I was on the fence with the aesthetic until they jumped, and I was all on board.
Yeah,
like, so cool.
It fits. I don't know if I like the little whirly 180 barrel roll thing that it does when it does the crazy mushroom jump. But all right, and they've got new technology that does the crazy mushroom jump. That's interesting. I'm having trouble reconciling, and I'm sure there will, a lot of the things that they have to squeeze in, right? Because now we've got a non-preferential award of Sarek, right? Who didn't get the nod where Spock does,
right?
That's got to be explained away somehow, and I'm sure they'll figure out something. We've got a warp technology that I like some of the theories that I've either seen or thought of. I'm going to claim I thought of at least one of them of why that's not around or being used, but that's going to have to be explained away somehow. And the whole hologram technology thing, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, that was unsettling. Again, they keep, and I didn't feel like that was necessary. Other things they've done have been like, all right, we're moving forward and we're going to do our own thing. And that's great. And it's been, the Klingons especially, that's obviously a central drive to the story, but there was no reason to have the holodeck technology other than we wanted to show off our effects.
Yeah. Random
just
shooting on the even the low budget TNG holodeck at the very beginning where they're just standing in the middle and shooting at things. I mean, I can see them doing even back on the older ships because you just have laser tag something in the middle. But the whole
remotes or something, but they did not need to do that. I mean, obviously they wanted to make you feel like they were thrown back into this Klingon ship, environment, and how'd they get back here and how they're going to handle it. But I didn't feel like it was necessary, and that was why keep challenging the nerds. I mean, this is your fan base. And you've already asked them to get over a lot. And to be fair, they have been. I saw a friend of mine on Facebook last week who has been one of the biggest Discovery skeptics. He loves Star Trek, but he's like, I don't like this. This is going to be weird. They're like throwing this off, and they're not doing that continuity, blah, blah, blah. And he said after, not this week's episode, but last week's episode, he's like, man, Disco Trek is getting better every week, and I have completely gotten over every single hang-up I've had. As long as it keeps up with this quality, I won't care. So,
all right, that's interesting.
That's great, but that was before this episode. So I'm curious to see what he has to say about the holodeck.
The holodeck and the constant hologram communications that they're using everywhere. That was, I mean, they're going to go from. Granted, at some point you have to say, okay, you're going to go from a show that's developed now to a show that was developed in the 60s. So you can't go 100%. But they're going so much with the communicators are exactly the same size. The phasers are the same size. Yeah. It was. I think we mentioned this earlier that it was tough to use technology on DS9 years in the future on the one of the newest ships in the fleet. on the Defiant, right?
Yeah.
So apparently they're going to forget how to use that. This whole the spore drive thing, I gotta believe that they could explain it away by this entire ship all of a sudden being declared property of Section 31, because they
Yeah.
use weird technology like that all the time. You know, site to site transport and instantaneous transport all over the place. So
Yeah. That's certainly a popular theory, Section 31, especially with the black badge, like right
exactly.
away.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they were involved, but it does seem to be like, I feel like if it were Section 31, it would not be nearly so widely known.
Exactly.
I mean, they seem to be reporting to
All
Starfleet
the
in
admirals
general.
know that they've
Yeah.
got it. They're trying to replicate it on other ships. So that technology is going to be out of the bag.
Yeah.
I'm something, the other shoe's going to drop on the albino engineer guy, because he's getting nuts. And I did like the things on his arms, so he doesn't get jabbed with the needles all the time. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. So as far as the lead into TOS, I did observe one of these weeks, and I mentioned it to Charlie, and we were kind of spitballing it, but TOS is easily the most removed of the shows. Like all of the rest, certainly it's been 30 years since TNG, and that's a long time, but it's been 50 years since TOS, and things, really accelerated in that time. You go from TNG forward, all of these shows have been made relatively close together, and if you kind of discount TOS, like going towards TOS as a technological aesthetic, I can totally see this show being the successor to the Enterprise aesthetic.
Yes, I can see that as well. Yeah.
So if you think of it in that direction, progression, I think they did a really good job. That makes it. It's like, oh, this sort of definitely fits in with that sort of timeline.
I wonder. I mean, this is Prime Universe, right? I wonder if they were, instead of moving towards the TOS aesthetic, that they're moving toward the Abrams era TOS aesthetic. That
Sure.
They would certainly, have got the shininess of the bridge down.
Yeah.
And, not the primary color lights in the corridors and
bright red doors.
Yeah, bright red doors and panels on things.
Big clicky buttons.
Yeah.
I do like, it was an interesting, the whoever's doing the Foley for the show is having a grand time, because it's not just TOS noises. There's sound effects from every era popping up just all over, but still getting those TOS,
the door opening up. Yeah.
So that's fun. That's a nice ambient background thing you don't have to think about, but it's just kind of gives you a hint of familiarity.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned the Enterprise in the last episode as a new ship, so it's clearly been launched. And April was on the list of captains that were good, so he's been carrying off on his mission. So that ship is out there somewhere.
Yeah.
What are the odds that they're going to run into it?
Man, at one point I really wanted it to show up. I forgot what we were talking about, but I mentioned that to Charlie, and he was like, man, how cool would it be? The Enterprise could have been at the binary stars, but it would have been banged up like everybody else. But yeah, I mean, you could totally have it show up. You could, it's presumably under Pike's command at this point.
Yeah, probably.
So you could totally have, you'd have to recast a main character, which would be odd. But it's either that or have them encounter, oh, this is Ensign so and so from the Enterprise. They're here to bring this cargo, and blah 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 blah.
Nah, just get Zach Quinto to play young Spock.
Ah, my God! Oh, my brain. Oh, wow! But he's Kelvin.
You know,
It's supposed to be all the same. You know,
it's supposed to look the same. It's a different person.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, like I said, I'm going to be canceling my my free trial so they don't start pinging my credit card, and I probably will. I mean, when this half season, I guess, wraps up, I would probably pay the $10 for a month and just eat them all, one after another, till it's done. You know.
See, until you have a stomachache.
Yeah.
So let me ask you like a wrap up question.
Okay.
Or a clarification of your general. Is your objection to the serial and your dislike for that? Is it because you can't watch them all right away, or is it you genuinely don't like it?
You know, when I watched other shows that were serialized like that, I did not hate them. I probably came at this thinking, you know, we had TNG, we had TOS, even a lot of episodes of DS9, some episodes of even Voyager. You've got a science fiction-y plot hook. You have a story. There's a wrap up, and then an end. And that we haven't had an ending yet in 5 episodes, right? Everything is building up, and then there's last few minutes. Hey, something interesting. See you next week. That's okay if I can watch them all in a row, but I that's not my style of viewing.
Yeah, I think that's just a symptom of television.
Yeah, sure.
You know, since Enterprise went off the air, that's definitely been a turn. We kind of talked about this a little bit before in our kind of preview discussions, but that's
weekly viewing is not something that I do anymore. So, you know, I'm kind of out of the loop.
Yeah, and it's much more common. Well, and that's it. It's much more common for not only TV to do that, but for people to not watch it every week and to just wait till it comes out on Netflix or get the DVDs or whatever and just sit and watch the whole thing. So they can do that. Personally, I like maybe not the story itself, but I think I was happiest in Star Trek to date during the last season of Deep Space Nine, where it was just straight up from episode 12 on. It was serial. There was no episode about it. Boom, 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 boom. Like, this is it. This is the end of the war, and every episode is going to be continued.
Yeah, but we had several years to get used to the characters, to learn who they are, to, you know, give me a reason why, you know, I care that I can expect this person to act this way. It's maybe it's just we haven't had that build up. But to contrast that, look at what we've got with the other Star Trek show that's on right now, the Orville, right? It's very much episodic. Things generally wrap up by the end of the episode, but there are little things that carry the show along, right? Like the chief of security guy's kid, right? That happened in an episode. It was mentioned later, and then, you know, little things are stringing along. That I can appreciate that. I'm not, you know, I don't feel like I'm being strung along as much with that show.
So you would prefer it be, and I like that too, and that's more of the sitcom aspect than the drama sitcom approach than the drama approach, but having continuity for the characters, if not necessarily for the storyline.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, if had this been all dropped at once, I probably wouldn't have this objection, and I probably would have just watched the whole thing and forgotten certain episodes, because that's what happens when you watch, you know, 20 episodes at once. But I wouldn't have hated it so much. I mean, that's, again, I don't want to go back to Game of Thrones too many times. That's why I didn't read any of the other books after the first one, because I felt like I was being strung along and played, and that's, you know, I don't need that.
Now, to contrast that, or as an additional point, most of the shows that do that, and that it does include Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, you know, Walking Dead, all of these current serial shows, they're all 10 episodes, 12 episodes, like 8 episodes. you know, all of the Netflix Marvel shows, you do not have to get strung along for, you know, from October until May, which, I mean, that would be rough.
Yeah.
If you were doing a full 20 season, you know, 22 episode season, and that's honestly, I'm trying to keep up with the DC superhero shows on CW, and that's the hardest part right now, because I dropped off completely last season. I'm currently trying to catch up with the last season so I don't get spoiled for this season, and I have to, it's 24, 48, 72 episodes, and I'm not even watching one of the 4 shows. I'm just doing Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, because Legends of Tomorrow is not worthwhile. But I'm like, all right, I got through episode 8. After 24 episodes, I'm on episode 8 because I'm watching them all in order in case something crosses over, because they do, and I don't miss anything. And it's rough. And there's a lot of more like what you're talking about, where it's back to the original, I'm going to say the original non-soap opera serial telling, which is Buffy, where there is an overarching storyline and a big bad that they build to, but it's done over the course of Monster of the Week episodes, and you know, you get a little bit more here, but then we have to fight what's currently going on, and so forth. But the problem with that is a lot of that becomes filler.
Yeah.
And if you don't have good writers developing the characters, which is what filler stories should be doing, then it just gets really tired. Yeah, like, I just want to know what's going to happen already.
If you look at the first couple seasons of all of, you know, the previous Trek, they were all lots of what, you know, exactly what I was complaining about, you know, stories to Monster of the Week-ish, you know, Star Trek stories, but fleshing out different character attributes. And we, you know, we were just kind of thrown everything at the wall in Discovery, you know, get to know a character for a little bit, and then, well, it's only 5 episodes in, so I can't be too judgmental. 5 episodes of what looks like, according to Wikipedia, 15 for the first season, and then we'll get another, you know, whoever much in the second season, which they've been approved for. So that's, at least we know they're not going to pull the rung out, you know, at the end of the first season.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen, you know, they say that all these they've addressed a lot of the continuity things that I've been complaining about. They will be addressed by the end of the season, so we'll find out, I guess. And some of you will find out before me, because I don't think I'll be watching along.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm hoping it will continue to make it worth your while when it comes around to the end. I will be watching along. This last month of getting to sit down every Sunday night and have like 2 new hours of Star Trek, you know how bummed I was there was no new Orville this week? I
was disappointed as well, yes.
That's like the only real drawback of watching live TV again is that, you know, what do you mean there's an off week? Why is there an off week? You just give it to me. Because even the few shows I have watched as they come out, which is basically the 100, because a lot of shows, they just do half seasons, or they run them, you know, 2 seasons in one time slot over 1 season's period. So it's September to December, and then January to May. And so it's like, all right, 16 episodes, give me 16 weeks of TV. And they don't have time to run, you know, off weeks, because there's no off week. So that was really, really disappointing. But having Sunday Night Star Trek is so cool. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, maybe
I'm like all right.
Maybe I'm just a cranky old guy, so you know, I'll we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I have been known to get overexcited about new stuff as it comes out until it.
Really?
I mean, I just a little bit. So, you know, maybe it'll sink in, but so far it hasn't. I've gone back and watched the premiere a couple of times and the 3rd episode. In fact, I think I've seen all but this last week's episode multiple times. I really enjoyed it. Well, they only aired the first one on the free. I thought like the first one meant like the 2-parter.
And yeah, no,
that was such bullshit. So we were after gaming, we were having half gaming. So we're like, oh, Brian, you have to see the second half. And then we're like, oh, but the third season's where it really, the shit episode's really where it picks up. We have to watch that too. So.
Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be difficult. I probably, depending on what time of day it is, I change my mind. I'm probably not going to watch it, but I probably will. We'll find out. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, no spoilers. All right, well, we've certainly gone on long about this. I hope you guys are watching. I know some of you definitely are. If you're playing Star Trek Timelines, we just finished the third of a 4-week mega event about Discovery. I think it's been somewhat fun to get the new characters, but I also think they probably jumped the gun a little bit. They probably should have waited till November, because they're having to wait until the day before the event to announce any info, because they're like, oh, we made this event about data that doesn't, you haven't seen until this episode, so we don't want to spoil anyone.
Yeah, and that's tough because I remember when they made cards for personnel that were while DS9 was going on. Then, things would change dramatically, and then I guess that's what a new version of the card is. But it'd be
but in One-E, that wasn't the thing though. That was supposed to be the snapshot quintessential version of that guy.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is Battlestar Galactica, because all those personnel that should be Cylons aren't Cylons.
Yes. That was the before we knew they were Cylons version of them.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
And if
their arc is over before you start, documenting their life. Yeah. Otherwise, you can have some wrong turns.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, unless it's a really strong universe, like Stargate. We picked up, they started a Stargate CCG during season 10, which turned out to be the last season. And it was was it even over? Maybe it was Atlantis. And so, they really missed the boat on it.
Okay, fair enough.
It's like, okay, well, you got all the arc here, but your fandom's basically gone now, or at least significantly reduced. So
yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot, I guess. Yeah. Hey, it's too bad we're not going to see any first and second edition cards based on this property.
Or are we? Hey, they don't have to be official. We can post dream cards. That's what we didn't do. We said we were going to make cards, like we did for the animated series.
That's right.
Review. So how does the Spore Drive work?
Well, first you need an animal.
Discard an animal.
That's another thing. We've seen this arc before. It was the nucleogenic arc on the Equinox, right?
Yeah. And I thought that too. But at least they kind of went a different direction with it, and they resolved it right away. It looked like they were going the Equinox direction of the screw it, we don't care, kill them all, we need to move. But they actually did the right
Starfleet instead of
Starfleet. Yeah.
Instead of the Dark Starfleet, yeah.
Yeah. But that would be cool, especially in One-E. Sacrifice an animal to go from this point in the space line to this point in the space line. And your range is used up.
I think that's it. Yeah.
You have to turn your ship over.
Flip it over.
Yeah, it has to be two-sided. Your Spore Drive has been used.
Now what you do is you hold the ship at least a foot above the space line, and you just drop it, and wherever it lands is where it gets to. Right.
That's if you don't spin an animal.
That's right.
Yeah. You can use it.
Have protective technology.
Yeah. Shuffle the space line. Draw a random mission. That's where you end up. And then you have to put it all back.
All right. Very good.
Clearly, we're out of intelligence at this point for this week. But I hope you guys are. If you have opinions, I'm sure you do. You would like to share them with us, or a compelling argument for Dan to continue watching Disco Trek. Email us at section31@danhammond.com. We would like to talk to you about it. In the meantime, I'm going to keep watching. I'll fill Dan in as we go, or at least hint at things he might have liked, and then we'll see where we go from there. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
I'm Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the Disco Trek universe?
I will draw to end.